everyone, and welcome back to my podcast. Joining us today is a U.S. Open champion and an Olympic gold medalist, Bethanie Mattek-Sands. Let's go! Bethanie, thank you so much for joining my podcast. How are you doing today?
Zander, I am so excited to be on your show because I think the last time I saw you, you were just a little kid, and look how much you've grown up. You got your own podcast. I'm super excited, and I'm hoping you're going to send me all the gear.
I will. I'm just so excited. I'm just so happy to interview you, and it's going to be so fun. Okay, so
Let's do it. I'm ready for.
So here we go. Not too many people make it to your level in tennis, especially growing up in Minnesota with long winters. When did you know? When did you know that you had a special gift with tennis?
Okay, so I like this question because I think it's an important one because, you know what, believe it or not, as much success as I've had in my career, I didn't know it right away. I started playing tennis when I was 5 years old, and I played it just for fun. I loved the game. I liked being competitive, and I played a lot of different sports when I was little too. So when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, I started playing tennis, but I was playing basketball, I was playing soccer, I was doing gymnastics, and I played all these other sports till I was about 12. And that's when I kind of made the decision. I was winning some tournaments. I was beating some kids that were older than me, that were 17, 18, some college players. So I made a decision with my parents to go down to Florida, which is where there's a lot of tennis academies. So I went to Everett Tennis Academy in Boca Raton, Florida. I remember going down there for a summer when I was 12 years old. And I remember thinking it was the hardest I've ever worked on the tennis court, but I loved it. And in the end, we ended up moving down to Florida for my tennis, and I started training and focusing on tennis. But I would say I didn't really know I was going to be doing anything special until I was a teenager. Until then, tennis for me was just something fun. It was something that I was really good at. It was a way for me to exercise and feel good. So that's it. I kept it pretty simple when I was little, but ultimately, when I was 14, 15, I started playing some pro events. I started getting some wins. And I feel like once you start winning, you kind of think, hey, maybe I could do more in this sport. So I think that's when I made the transition, was in my teenage years.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said that you did it around when you were around a teenager, right?
Yep.
Was it hard to make sacrifices for that? Because normally teenagers would go out to parties and movies, but you decided to move to Florida, right? Go down to Florida to for a tennis academy, right? So
Yep.
was it hard to make all those sacrifices and not be well? You were obviously with some friends down in Florida, right? But
Yeah, no, I had some friends, and I did go to school, but actually, so for my 8th grade year, I was homeschooled so that I could play more tennis during the day. Obviously, the schedule, getting your schoolwork done and tennis, it was a lot. So I was homeschooled for a year or two, and then I went back to school. But I think you're right. There are some sacrifices that you do make, but here's how I look at it. I made a decision. I could either go hang out with my friends, or I could see how far I could take tennis and maybe make some different friends traveling the world. So, looking back, yeah, you're always going to be faced with a decision or a choice. But I like to think that there were so many things that I got to do, even if I didn't get to do some normal things like go to prom or maybe go to some of the parties on the weekend with my friends. I got to go to France when I was 13 years old. I got to go to Japan when I was 13 years old. So I felt like I had a lot of awesome experiences. I just did it in a little different way. And I think tennis allowed me to experience the world earlier, maybe younger than most people get to travel. So I felt very lucky. So for as much as you do have to sacrifice when you focus on things like that, there's so many things that you can look forward to too. You just have to look at it a little differently.
That's awesome. Did you have any tennis idols when you were younger, when you were growing up, or any other idols?
So I love sports. I grew up a big Packer fan. So go Packers. So I grew up in love with Brett Favre. Obviously, right now I love Aaron Rodgers. He's the man. But when I was a kid, Brett Favre was the best. So I also looked up to Michael Jordan. My favorite number is 23. I was born on March 23rd. So it was the number I always had when I played basketball. When I played soccer, I was number 23. So I looked up to Michael Jordan. I thought he was always exciting and creative, and I loved that about him. I always wanted to play like Michael Jordan when I was playing tennis. But as far as tennis players, I grew up in love with Monica Seles. So I got the chance when I was 8 years old to play with her. She came up to Minnesota and she hit at the club that I trained at. And my dad asked if she would hit with me for a couple minutes, and it was a pretty cool experience getting to play with her. She autographed my racket. I still have it. So she was my tennis idol growing up.
That is awesome. Um, what was it like playing in your first pro match, and were you very nervous? And do you still get nervous before matches?
I like that question because I think sometimes people think when you're used to playing a lot of matches or tournaments that you shouldn't be nervous. I actually like to be a little nervous. You feel the butterflies in your stomach. It just means that I'm excited to compete and that, I want to put my best, effort on the line. And so I think that's okay. I actually like that feeling. But my first professional event was, first of all, it was a long time ago, I'll be honest, because I played my first pro event when I was 14 years old. So I was a baby when I played my first match on tour. And I didn't win, but it's okay. I had a great experience. I think the first couple matches when I played professional tennis were challenging because you go from being a junior tennis player, winning a lot of matches, and then it's a different level at the pros, and you got to get used to a different travel experience. You're playing women that are a lot older than you and more experienced. So it took me a few matches to find my groove. I remember one match I played at US Open, and it was the first time I played on the big stadium at US Open. So on Arthur Ashe Stadium, and I played Jennifer Capriati. And I remember I got crushed 0-0. I lost in like 47 minutes. And it was a big lesson because she like creamed me. So it for me, it was exciting, but at the same time, I almost wanted to get off the court because she was beating me so bad. So, but that was a long time ago. I played a lot of matches since then. But yeah, I do. I still feel those butterflies. I still love competing, and I love playing in front of fans. I love playing in stadiums.
It must have been a great opportunity for you to play your first ever pro match, eh?
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. It was exciting. And, I've been playing since I was 14. That was my first match and loving it ever since.
Does the crowd motivate you during the match? And how hard is it to compete when the crowd is pulling from your opponent?
So, well, it's funny because right now in 2020, a lot of sporting events don't have fans, and for me, it's a little sad because I like playing in front of people. I like playing in front of energy players, so I love hearing the support. And honestly, I would rather people be cheering for my opponents than have zero fans. I would rather there be some excitement in the stadium. Of course, I would love if everyone was cheering for me, but I would pick having fans, even if they're cheering for my opponent. There's a couple times where when you travel overseas and you play the local hometown girl and the whole crowd, the whole stadium is cheering for her, it's a little intimidating. But in at the end of the day, I just love that people want to come out and watch some tennis and emotionally get behind some of the players. So I'm okay sometimes when they're cheering for my opponent.
There's obviously so much skill involved in the game. How much is there in your head?
So I think a lot of people talk about sports being 90% mental. A lot of times people will use that number, and I actually think it's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's important to learn the right technique, the right footwork, to have a good strategy, but you're only going to implement those in matches if you believe you can. So the mental part, as much as I train my physical, my technical, and all my strategies, I'm working on my mental game the whole time too, because it's crucial. It's crucial in those big moments when you're up and you got to close the match out, or you're down and you got to come back. You're really relying on your mental strength to pull you out of those matches, because at the end of the day, everyone that's a professional tennis player at the top, they all can hit really good forehands and they all can hit really good backhands. But who can stay mentally strong no matter what's happening in the match? Maybe the crowd's cheering for you, maybe they're against you, maybe it's windy, maybe the sun's in your eyes. Who can handle those things the best? That's who's going to win more consistently. So the mental side of the game is really, really important.
So you said that things could be going up and things could be going down. How do you remain so focused with that? And did things improve for you over the time?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's times where I've handled some of the stress better than others. There's times where you feel like you're down and you're not playing good, or maybe you don't feel good, you didn't get enough sleep, or maybe the food you ate last night wasn't sitting in your stomach right. So it's like, the more you get used to handling these challenges, the better you get at it. It's like any habit. You just got to practice it. And just, again, as much as you practice forehands and backhands, you got to practice how you respond to your stress. Like, am I going to have a positive attitude in this moment or a negative? Because you get to pick. And so I just challenged myself to pick more positives than negatives. Those negatives will come and you got to deal with those too. It's okay. You have, in a match, you have time to come back. You could be down. Maybe your opponent's playing really good that day. You still got to trust yourself, trust in your game, trust your practice. So it really comes up a lot. And it's something that over the course of my career that I've definitely gotten better at. I think if you would have talked to me when I was a teenager after I lost, I wouldn't have been very happy. I've gotten better at learning from my mistakes and learning from my losses now into my 20s and 30s. So it's a big difference.
So, I asked this question to Brooke Henderson. I'm gonna ask it to you. Have you ever smashed your racket when you've gotten mad? Or
I have smashed my racket. It's honestly, I haven't, I'll be honest. I haven't broken a racket in a long time because it's not really my thing. Like for me, I actually love my racket. I feel like it's kind of my baby. So I don't ever really want to hurt it. I don't blame it if I make a mistake. So it's been a long time since I've broken a racket, but I'll admit it. I've broken a racket a time or two when I've gotten mad, but I've always felt bad after I did it because I'm like, it wasn't the racket's fault. Like the racket was just doing its job. So I have though. I'll be honest. I probably have a couple broken rackets at my house still right now.
um, you have such an amazing career as a doubles player. What makes such a great doubles player? Like, it's hard to say this question, but what makes such a great doubles player? Is it your partner, or like is it working together? What is the key thing to the doubles?
Yeah, so I actually think that's a really good question. It makes sense because a team, like a doubles team, you got to work together. I mean, you could be playing well, but maybe your teammate isn't playing well, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're not playing so good, but your teammate's playing awesome. So I think the most important thing is how you communicate with each other. I'm really positive out there. I like a lot of energy, and that's what I like to give to my partner. I feel like the best results that I've played with some of my best friends, and no matter what, we're always staying positive. We're always smiling. We're always laughing out there. We're still serious and we still are out there to win. We have our strategies, but we know if we're relaxed and we're enjoying ourselves out there, we're giving ourselves the best chance to win. But it's all about giving your teammate props. Like you're not out there trying to be their coach. You're just out there trying to work together, come up with a plan, whatever it takes that day to get the win. And that's so communication is the key for doubles. That's what makes it so different from singles. Singles, you're out there all by yourself and you got to figure it out. But doubles, you got to keep talking with your partner. I don't like to, when I watch some matches and I see the doubles partners not saying anything to each other out there, it's not a good sign. Usually one of them's upset, maybe one of them's not feeling good. So it's important to really stay encouraging and positive out there and to keep talking.
That's awesome. And you are well known for your tennis fashion. Were you ever told you couldn't wear anything on the court in a match?
I haven't been told that I can't wear anything, but I've come close where they've asked me to come to the referee's office and show them what I'm going to wear. So, but I haven't been told I couldn't wear anything. I've pushed the line, but I've never crossed it. But for me, I love fashion. I love it off the court too. So I felt like it was bringing my colorful personality out on the court. And when I feel like I'm myself on the court, that's when I'm playing my best tennis. So a big part of it is my fashion. So for me, it's a lot of fun to stay colorful and creative out there.
I really like the tennis ball dress. How you
that was one of my favorites. I had Lady Gaga's designer designed that for me, and so I got to wear that at the Wimbledon
Really?
party. But I still have that dress at my house. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. You had a really bad injury, then came back to win the U.S. Open. Uh, how hard was it to come back from a really bad injury, and what did that title mean to you?
So it was a big deal. I mean, I had been injured before. The injury that you're talking about happened at Wimbledon,
Yeah,
and it was a big one. I really
yeah.
pretty much tore my knee up. I wasn't able to walk for weeks. Actually, I couldn't even bend my leg for 6 weeks. So I needed to
Wow.
be carried off the court. I needed to immediately go have surgery. And so it was really challenging because at the time I was number one in the world in doubles. I had just won a few grand slams in a row with my doubles partner, Lucy Safarova. I was playing some great singles matches. Everything was going great and I was feeling good. And it really changed everything. And so I had to take a look in the mirror and ask myself what kind of attitude that I wanted going forward because I couldn't change it. I couldn't go back in time and not get injured. I had to deal with it. So I went through the rehab. There were times where I don't think anyone was sure if I was going to come back, but from the moment I started doing rehab, I told myself, no matter what, I'm 100% coming back. I'm not going to let that be my last match of my career. I'm definitely coming back. So when I got my first win earlier that year in Charleston, that was really emotional. I actually was crying at the end of that because it was like a big part of my journey and my comeback. And then when I got to that U.S. Open that year and won the mixed doubles title with my partner Jamie, it was another monster win for me. But here's the thing: I don't think it's my biggest win. As proud as I am of coming back from a bad injury and then winning US Open, it was a big deal. But you know what I was most proud of, what I would tell you my biggest win was when I made the decision to have a good attitude going forward no matter what, even when I couldn't walk. So if I have to talk about my biggest win of my career, it's going to be the attitude that I chose after that injury, because it was a bad one. And nobody would have blamed me if I was upset because I was hurt. I couldn't play tennis and I wasn't sure when I was coming back. And that's ultimately what helped me come back and then get another win to add to my trophy collection.
It's awesome how strong you came back for the U.S. Open.
Thanks.
So you have won 5 Grand Slams events in doubles and 4 Grand Slams in mixed doubles. and an Olympic gold medal in mixed doubles. What was it like winning that gold medal and standing on that podium representing your country? And what was going through your mind?
Yeah. So it was a pretty cool moment. I'll say, I'll back it up a little bit, because when you're playing the semifinal match and you win that match, you're going to the finals. So you know you're getting a medal no matter what. It's going to be a silver or gold. So winning that semifinal match was massive. And then after I won it and we made it to the finals, I was like, no, like I want the gold medal. Like I came this far, like I want to get the gold. And we
Yeah.
actually played the other American team in the finals. So USA was coming home with a silver and a gold, and which was pretty cool. But so at the end of the day, no matter what, we were going to see our flag go up and the Star Spangled Banner anthem was going to come on. So I think on match point, I knew it was match point, and we were down in the third set. Jack and I, my partner, we ended up coming back against Venus and Rajiv Ram. And after we won that final point, I watched the video of it. I was jumping up and down. I gave Jack a big hug. But then when you get up on the podium, it's crazy how short that is. You feel like they fast forwarded the anthem. It was like you stood up there, they put the medal on your neck, the flag goes up, and then it's like, I'm done. I wanted to stay up there for another hour. It was an amazing experience. It was my first Olympics. So first of all, I was really pumped to be there and represent the USA. I've played team events. I've played in tennis. It's our Fed Cup, and I've represented the USA, but never at the Olympics until 2016. So for me, being in Rio was a big deal. And then to get the gold on top of that just made it really extra special.
That's so amazing. I always ask this question. If there was one piece of advice you would give a kid my age, what would that be?
If I could give a piece of advice to a kid, here's what I would say. I would say that you don't have to be too serious to go after your goals. There's a certain amount of focus and hard work and all of that goes into it, but you can enjoy yourself and enjoy the process too. Give yourself time and space. It's okay to make mistakes. That's when we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we get better. So when you can have a good attitude around that and still enjoy it and have fun, you're going to get good really quick and you're going to go far. So that's the biggest thing that I would say. I want everyone to, even though they're working hard, they're focused, they have their goals, I would say you got to have fun too.
That's awesome. So now we have some rapid fire questions. Are you okay with that?
I'm ready for your rapid fire. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. What was your favorite on-court tennis outfit?
I would say my personal design from US Open last year.
What was the toughest serve to return?
Serena Williams.
Your favorite tournament?
Indian Wells.
What was your greatest tennis accomplishment?
On paper, I would say my mixed doubles US Open title after my injury was my biggest win of my career.
What is your favorite pregame meal?
Pre-game meal, my power food is oatmeal.
If you were in a locker room preparing for the US Open final, what song would you listen to?
Oh man, you're gonna make me pick one song? I'm gonna go with
as many as you want. It's fine.
I can do as many as I want.
See,
it depends what mood I am. I know this is a rapid fire question, but there's times where I like to have calm music before I walk out on the court. But right now, I'm loving the song Green Mountain State by Trevor Hall.
What was your greatest who was your greatest inspiration?
Who
go.
was my greatest inspiration?
Yes.
I think my greatest inspiration was... It's a good question, actually. I was inspired by, when I was younger, I was inspired by Michael Jordan. I'm going to give it to Michael.
What is your favorite thing to do outside of tennis?
Shop, of course.
What is your favorite sports movie?
Sports movie. Are we considering Secretariat a sports movie? Because I really like the movie Secretariat.
Sure.
All right.
Of all the tennis greats, past and present, who would you like to do who have played doubles or a mixed match with?
I'll be honest, I'm a pretty big Roger Federer fan. So if I had to pick someone, I would pick Roger to play mixed doubles with.
Okay, that's awesome. We have come to the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be sending you either a baseball t-shirt or a hoodie. And thank you so much for joining my podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for inviting me, Zander. Let's do it again, huh? That was fun.
Thank you so much for joining. Bye. Hope to see you soon.
Perfect. You did a great job.
Thank you.
I'll see you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.